Welcome back to our CAEL writing series. Today we're continuing with essay writing, and we're going to add on the body paragraphs of our essay that we started in the last 2 weeks. Now remember, the topic that we're writing about as we learn how to structure an essay is connected back to our own educational experience. So we're going to generate details then from our personal experience today to support ideas within these body paragraphs. If you are writing the CAEL test, please remember that the details you're going to write about in your own essay there will come specifically from the source material. So on the CAEL test, you're going to be writing about what you've learned in the reading and listening passages on the test itself. All right, so just as we always do before we begin with today's episode, we're going to take a very quick minute to review the work that we've done in the last couple of weeks because we'll be adding on to that today. So this is the question that we've been working on as we've been writing this essay. The question asks us to identify some of our strengths from our own high school education. So we've been asked to write a minimum of 250 words and to complete this assignment in about 35 minutes. And that's because those are the exact same time requirements and word count limits that the CAEL test will ask you to do on part 4. So we're practicing for that too as we learn some writing tips. So we've already looked at this outline several times by now. These are the ideas that we're going to include in the essay, and we are focusing on the body paragraphs today. So you can see again the two topics that we'll be writing about. So we're going to mention how extracurricular activities and knowledgeable teachers were two strengths of our high school days. So we wrote this introductory paragraph to the entire essay last week. If you've not yet had a chance to watch that episode, I encourage you to pause this video and go back and review, because we're going to be carrying on today with the body paragraphs themselves. Now, we already wrote the first body paragraph several weeks ago now, as we looked at paragraphing skills. So we're going to check mark this entire paragraph about extracurricular activities as having been completed. And we're going to add that in next week. So let's carry on then to the second body paragraph, which is all about knowledgeable teachers. And you can see these ideas here that we've listed in our outline that identifies the 3 teachers that we're going to discuss, as well as the skills that they taught us. So we really need to put some thought into how we're going to introduce this topic in the essay. We need to write a very strong topic sentence. So in blue there, you can see the information from the outline. And the rest of the screen shows my first attempt at writing out the topic sentence. So it reads, looking back on my high school instruction, I recall several teachers who imparted much knowledge and strong skills that supported me then and continue to influence me today. All right, I have to be honest, I'm not happy with that topic sentence at all. It's wordy, it's a bit confusing. I don't love the language choice I've made, but this is my first draft, remember. I'm going to leave it alone for now, write the rest of the paragraph, and at the end, I'll go back and make my changes. So here's my first body detail, my first teacher I'm mentioning, which is my French teacher. So I say here, my French teacher, Madame Landry, expanded our vocabulary and taught us structure. By graduation, we could communicate with native French speakers. I've needed to rely on my French speaking skills while traveling throughout Europe. And as a teacher myself, I use the skills that Madame Landry taught me to help my own students learn English as a second language. All right, I'm going to add on now my second teacher, which is my math teacher. And I've tried here. Mr. McMartin was a memorable teacher I had in high school. He instructed algebra, and although I don't teach math today, his instruction taught me how to recognize patterns when looking at data and how to solve problems in numerous ways. Mr. Mitchell is my third teacher, and I say, my biology teacher, Mr. Mitchell, connected learning to real-life situations. Understanding how genetics influence health and disposition, for example, sparked an interest in psychology, which was partly responsible for my decision to study teaching at university. And before I leave off this paragraph, I need to add a concluding statement right at the end that's going to summarize what the entire thing was about. And remember, I'm trying to talk about the teachers who were knowledgeable and influenced me with the skills that they taught. So here's my last statement. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to have been positively influenced by such knowledgeable teachers during my high school years. I actually like that. It's better than my opening anyway. So we'll see how the entire piece fits together now. So this is our paragraph from beginning to end. Our first draft doesn't mean it's perfect. And as a matter of fact, I know there are changes I'm going to want to make to improve this, to make it the best it can be before I submit. So I would always do a quick read through from beginning to end, and I'll note down any changes I want to make. So I've actually used two colors this week to highlight some of these changes. So in yellow, for me, that represents the wording and the phrasing that I'm a little unhappy with. I need to do better. The green here represents ideas that I think are fine, but I see opportunities to add a few words or phrases here and there that will add sophisticated vocabulary and even stronger connections back to the thesis statement. So I'm going to take every advantage I can to improve upon my body paragraph. So let's start with that awkwardly written topic sentence. You can see how long it is. And some of that language, words like imparted much knowledge and strong skills, that just sounds awkward. It's not my writing style, to be honest. So I'm going to rephrase that entire sentence, and I'm going to make it shorter, more concise, and more direct to the point. So the green bolded words here represent my revised edition. I now say, I recall several high school teachers whose knowledgeable instruction helped develop my personal and professional skills. That's much better. I hope you agree, I think, than my first attempt. So we'll leave that and continue on. Now you'll notice the next line or so has a variety of yellow and green highlights. I noticed when I read this again that I switch back and forth between I, the personal pronoun, and our or we, the collective pronoun. And that's confusing to the reader. It's a mistake that will be easy to fix. So because this experience is all about me, I'm going to change those first three yellow words where I now have our, us, and we. I'm going to change that to reflect me. So this is what I come up with. My French teacher, Madame Landry, expanded my vocabulary and taught me proper conjugation and structure. By graduation, I could communicate. There. Easy fix, right? So I've got my, me, and I. So now everything's consistent. And you'll notice I added in that little vocabulary word, which is conjugation. It's a precise word and it adds a bit of sophistication. So I thought it just enhanced the quality. It doesn't change what I'm saying. It just makes it a little bit higher level. So we'll leave that in for now. Now that next green phrase says, I could communicate with native French speakers. That's fine and it's true, but I'm also going to add one little word in there. It's an adverb. I'm going to say I could communicate conversationally with native French speakers. So that word again adds a bit of precision, more accurate language, and it's also a nice, strong academic word. So we'll leave that in and hope to impress the raters with our vocabulary, because that's one of the skills that we need to demonstrate as we're being scored on the writing. So similarly, that next little green highlighted phrase that says the language skills, I'm going to add one more word in there again, just to elevate the writing. So I'll say the language acquisition skills. I think that sounds more academic, so we'll leave that in. Let's move on then to Mr. McMartin. We've got that next yellow highlighted word. So I've highlighted that article because I recognize that I don't have a lot of connection between that first body detail with Madame Landry and the second body detail with Mr. McMartin. So rather than say he was a memorable teacher, I'm going to say he was another memorable teacher. So it just enhances, it strengthens the connections to do that. So that's an improvement, I think. All right, I'll move down to that next line where I have his instruction taught me. Now remember, this entire essay is all about the strengths of my high school. So I'm going to add in one word there. I'm going to say his valuable instruction. So I'm connecting this notion back to the thesis statement, which again is reminding the reader that these are strengths. So I'll leave that word in. It makes a big difference overall. And we'll move down then to that next green highlighted phrase. So I've identified some of the skills then that my math teacher has taught me. So I've identified recognizing patterns and looking at data and solving problems as well in numerous ways. Now, just before I move on to my final body detail with my science teacher, I'm going to add one little phrase there, that little group of words. So I've stated again that Mr. McMartin has taught me these skills, and I'll add in both skills that support my chosen career. So again, that little phrase just reminds the reader, I'm adding continuity to the writing. It just reminds the reader that these are skills that not only I learned way back when I was a teenager in high school, but they're also skills I use today. So that's just that connection again between how it's a strength, the lifelong learning aspect of it. That third vocabulary word there I'm going to change was situations, and it was kind of vague. So I'm going to switch it to applications. So I think that's a slight improvement. And we're almost finished now. We've got one more little phrase that we could add in, I think, to connect the whole piece together. So remember, I'm really trying to highlight how these skills have helped me with my career as a teacher. So I've made this connection between Mr. Mitchell's biology classes, and I've cited psychology here, which pushed me towards studying teaching at university. So because I'm really honing in on teaching as my career, I'm going to add that little phrase there. So his lessons sparked an interest in psychology and learning styles, which was partly responsible for my decision to study teaching. Last but not least, I've got the word I'm. I'm appreciative. And that's fine. Grammatically, it's fine. But this is an academic piece of writing. And in academics, we don't usually write contractions. So we're going to take out that apostrophe and we're just going to write the full version of this subject and verb. So we've got I am appreciative. So that's a general guideline for academic writing. So when we're finished the entire paragraph, this is our final copy. This is as good as we can get it in the time frame allowed. And I'm just going to read it out loud now from beginning to end, if you can bear with me, so we can hear how it sounds in one full go without stopping and starting. All right, this is the version that will be submitted, so we want it to be as strong as we can get it. So it now reads, I recall several high school teachers whose knowledgeable instruction helped develop my personal and professional skills. My French teacher, Madame Landry, expanded my vocabulary and taught me proper conjugation and structure. By graduation, I could communicate conversationally with native French speakers. I've needed to rely on my French speaking skills while traveling throughout Europe, and as a teacher myself, I use the language acquisition skills that Madame Landry taught me to help my own students learn English as a second language. Mr. McMartin was another memorable teacher I had in high school. He instructed algebra, and although I don't teach math today, his valuable instruction taught me how to recognize patterns when looking at data and how to solve problems in numerous ways, both skills that support my chosen career. My biology teacher, Mr. Mitchell, connected learning to real-life applications. Understanding how genetics influence health and disposition, for example, sparked an interest in psychology and learning styles, which was partly responsible for my decision to study teaching at university. I am appreciative of the opportunity to have been positively influenced by such knowledgeable teachers during my high school years. That's a much better version, I hope you agree, than the draft that we first started with. So we are almost finished the entire essay. Join me next week as we write the concluding paragraph and double check that all 4 paragraphs fit together smoothly. See you then.